Hello, everybody. Welcome to Cello Tip Thursday live stream. Almost said Tuesday, but we're doing Thursdays now, a new thing I'm trying out this year. And welcome! I'm so glad you're here. So is Chelly as well, of course. And you know the drill, but in case you don't and you're new here, welcome. This is my chance to interact with you all, and we get to hang out and discuss all things cello. So Chelly and I are here to demonstrate with you all, for you all, in real time. And again, I'm so grateful that you all are here and that we have a chance to learn together in a fun space. Hello everybody in the chat. We are streaming here on Instagram and also YouTube. So I do want to make one quick change on YouTube. So while that is happening, let's, why don't you think about some of those questions, those burning questions for your practice time, the practice room, whatever you think it is, whatever you want to do. This is our time to learn together. So I am just going to stick this up here instead on YouTube. There we go. All right. My eyes are on the chat. What have we got today? Hello, everyone. Awesome. I already see some questions in the chat. I love it. And also, I have some blue lighting today. Feeling calm and easy. Wanting some calming vibes today, so we're going with some blue. So our first question comes from YouTube. Any tips for a less grippy fret hand? Oh, and before I get to that, I see somebody bought a badge on Instagram. Thank you so much, Bob. Thank you for purchasing a badge and supporting the live stream. That really means a lot. Thank you. Big shout out to Bob, good friend in Vegas. So glad you are here today. Thank you. Okay, back to the grippy fret hand. Just want to center myself a little bit. There we go. So the grippy fret hand, I'm assuming you mean the left hand. Cello doesn't have any frets. A lot of string instruments don't. There is a cool hybrid some of you might have seen on socials. It's a guitar and electric violin hybrid. That instrument does have frets on it. And the electric cello, yes, left hand, good. The electric cello I play, you can also get with frets. So instruments are constantly getting really cool new renovations. So the left hand, yes. So a couple things. A lot of tension in the left hand is a result of a squeezing thumb. So, for example, if we're in first position, and a lot of the positions, first position to fourth, your thumb really helps as balancing your hand under the neck. Nick on YouTube, you are cracking me up today. They said, yes, evil thumb. Your thumb is your frenemy. I call your thumb your frenemy. It can make or break your playing. So it can really help you, but it can also really hinder you. So what I have students do a lot, especially in your scales, when you're doing a long tone scale warm-up. So let's say you're just doing something like the second octave of a D major scale, nice and easy. I have you hold the note and you wiggle your thumb like this. So if you can see, my thumb is doing some little shimmies up and down, and that's going to help you practice releasing your thumb. I'm able to do it fluidly, so it's a little fast. You don't have to slide the thumb that fast. if you're able to hold a long note and gently slide the thumb up and down the cello neck, that is going to encourage your hand to relax. And if you can't move the thumb easily, that's a very sure sign that you have a squeezing thumb. So I would really practice your scales with a slight wiggling thumb in long tones if you are playing a piece with a lot of long notes, or you can make benchmarks for yourself in your piece. Say, at the end of the line, I'm going to wiggle my thumb. Or every time I get to a half note, I'm going to wiggle my thumb. And your hand is going to learn this pattern, and it is going to learn to adjust. It is going to learn to relax. The other piece of advice I would give you, Nick, is to see if there is some sort of trigger that causes your hand to feel cramped. Does it happen when you're playing fast rhythms? Does it happen when you are coming up to a part with a big shift and you get nervous so your hand squeezes? Try to see if you can find a trend. Where does it feel like your hand is tight? Is it a certain piece that is making your hand feel tight? So that's another thing, is to do some detective work, encourage some self-awareness, and to see if you can find a pattern as to why your left hand or thumb is squeezing. So I would say the thumb is like 8 times out of 10, it's because you have a squeezing thumb. The other thing I would tell you to do is to make sure you are supporting your left hand with a higher elbow. So in my studio, we call it opposite elbows. When you're on the bow, for the bow hand, you want a low and cozy elbow so we can get our weight in the string. I'll get to that, Nick. So for the bow arm, we want a low elbow. And for the left hand, we want a supportive high elbow. And a way to kind of check on that, a nice visual, is, do you have a bump in your wrist? Or is your wrist nice and parallel to the rest of your arm? So if you have a bump in the wrist and your wrist is doing a lot of your string crossing work, that means you need to support with your elbow more. So again, you can practice in front of a mirror. You can do what I'm doing for this live stream and have your laptop camera open and you can see yourself in the camera, or have your phone on selfie mode and watch yourself in your camera. Mirrors aren't accessible, not everyone has them, but most of you have a camera in your pocket or on your laptop, so you can use that as your mirror and check out your form that way. And finally, Nick asks, well, what if I'm always nervous? A lot of people look for magic tricks to get rid of nerves, myself included. For the longest time, I was looking for some secret remedy or thing I could do before I performed, and it's different for everybody, but personally, I have not found a magic trick. What I found that helps the most is performing as many times as you can. And that doesn't mean you have to go on a stage or have a gig or a concert. You can perform by recording yourself on your phone, saying, I'm going to commit, playing start to finish. I'm going to record myself on my phone. I'm going to record a video. That actually is a good way to kind of replicate that nervous feeling, is recording yourself. Because that camera or that phone with that little red recording light, it's actually kind of intimidating. So that's the best way I've been able to replicate the feeling of being nervous and having eyes on you while you play. The other thing to do is to play for friends. Call in if you have roommates or if you have a spouse, a partner, people visiting. Call them into the room and say, hey, I want to play something for you on my cello. Or you can FaceTime people or video chat your friends and say, surprise, you're getting a serenade today. I really want to practice playing for people. So those are kind of the things that you can do to replicate the feeling of getting nervous. I am very fortunate and grateful. The fact that I had to record a lot of videos when I first started Cello Doll. And that really desensitized me to a lot of nerves, especially with recordings. And also, I am very grateful that I perform regularly. So that feeling of getting on stage, it gets normalized to you, and I don't get as nervous. I mean, I still get nervous, but it's not nearly as difficult as it was when I was younger. But there are so many steps you can take to replicate performance. Playing for people that you live with, or video calling friends. Even recording yourself on the phone is an excellent step, making video recordings. Awesome. Cool. Lots of questions popping up. I love it. I'm gonna jump down to this question that relates to stage fright and nervousness on YouTube. Does it help to just accept that you're going to be nervous and plan for it? Absolutely. I also find that is something that is really helpful. For the longest time, I dreaded getting nervous. I dreaded it. And what happened was, if I felt myself getting nervous, I was like, it's happening. Oh no, it's happening. Why am I getting nervous? And then I got so much more anxious. So because I was getting nervous, I was getting anxious, I was having a lot of anxiety because of something that I thought was abnormal. And it's not abnormal to get nervous. I really wish I had somebody to tell me that. I had very valuable mentors as I got older, but when I was younger, I had the issue where, as a child, you're very naive, you're just starting out, you're so excited about music. I never got nervous for anything. And then as I got older, I started understanding how important this was to me, and I started understanding the premise of messing up or making mistakes, and then I started getting nervous, and I thought that was a reflection negatively on myself, and it was not. But I really wish I understood that earlier, that it's normal to be nervous. Everyone gets nervous. I know people in professional orchestras, some of the top orchestras in the country, and they get nervous. And I'm thinking, you get nervous? What? And that was very validating to hear that. So there's nothing wrong with getting nervous. I just think it's more helpful to get used to the feeling rather than to dread the feeling, because it's going to be happening quite a lot in your musical career, getting nervous. So I would say it's okay. It is okay. And again, if you are accepting of it, you are having more control and power over it than having it control you. Very interesting comment on YouTube. Adults don't ever want to make mistakes, even though we are the ones that should know better that mistakes are fine. It's how we learn as humans. Absolutely. And I tell my students all the time in lessons, this is the place to make mistakes, so I can help you and tweak your technique and guide you into improving. So, of course, in a concert, we don't want to make mistakes. And as you get closer to a concert date, you shouldn't really be making big mistakes. But in the learning process, of course, we're going to make mistakes on the road to performing someday. Okay, I'm going to switch things up. I see you on YouTube, but I want to go to the Instagram chat because we have some thank yous. Thank you for your music. You're most welcome. Thank you for giving me an audience to make music for. Without you, dolls, Cello doll wouldn't be a thing. I hope you realize that. A lot of people don't realize that. You guys are so important. All of you are very important to Chelly and I. What fingerings do you use in Dvorak when the cello imitates the oboe theme from the exposition? Okay. Let me see if I can remember this. It's been a minute since I played Dvorak concerto, but wait a minute. I think I have the music. I have 95% of it in my head, but I want to make sure you get the full enchilada. I would gladly share my fingerings. I will say though, doesn't mean you have to do my fingerings, but let me go get that part. Sadly, no, I don't have the entire Dvorak concerto memorized. I did when I performed it, I think it was 2018, I performed the entire concerto for a recital. That recording is on YouTube, by the way. Fun fact. It's an older video, but it's on YouTube. So if you ever want to reference, my Dvorak concerto is on YouTube. Let me see here. In my handy dandy music bag. I really think it's here. I hope it's here. Curses. You know what I'm going to do? I am going to go on IMSLP for you. But while I'm doing that, I am going to address other questions in the chat because I really want to help you out. I'll be able to remember my fingering once I start getting into it. Okay. Let's go on to another, but I got you. You're going to get some Dvorak fingerings in a second. What do you think about bow technique where you only use pronation of the first finger? Okay, well, I want to see if I can figure out what you're saying because I'm a little confused by the question, but let me get this loading first. The solo cello part. I'm telling you, it's like 90% in my head, but if I get something wrong, you know people are going to be like, she played a wrong note while demonstrating Dvorak concerto on the internet, blah, 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 blah. So we're not gonna take any chances with that. All right. So, bow technique where you only pronate the first finger. So I'm a little confused because I can't only pronate my first finger without having my hand joining. I mean, the fingers are so interconnected. I don't know if you mean sticking out the finger like that, but if I turn my first finger, the rest of my hand has to turn. I could do that if that's what you mean, but in terms of turning the first finger, it's very hard for me to do that. But if you mean pointing out the finger, let me just scroll down. Okay. Okay, good. More questions in the chat. I love it. So if someone's pointing a finger, to me, that's potentially a locked knuckle. And that's really not good because it's going to make other parts of our hand tense, like the whole outside of my hand is tense. So that's not great. Okay, more Dvorak questions. Cool, we'll do a little Dvorak unit today. I love it. So, yeah. So, a pointed finger, if that's what you're referring to, I just think it creates unnecessary tension in the hand than to just have the fingers drape over as if you're flipping your hand like that. Like, you're ridiculous. Ugh, like kind of that feeling. That's how your fingers should kind of fall on the frog. And in terms of pronating, I mean, I do feel that I lean primarily in my pointer finger when I want really picky sounding up bows. And you also need it for an up bow staccato. Sorry, to do that kind of bowing, da-da-da-da, or da-da-da-da-da, to do a chain of up bow staccatos, you do need to lean in the pointer finger more. My final thing I'll say in response is I do think your fingers on the bow, they they're never frozen in one position or one shape. They're always fluctuating. They're moving or bending in different ways. They're moving as you change the bow. So that is something that I hope helps to answer your question. Maybe some people that tend to lean more to the left, maybe that's their way their hand feels comfortable on the bow. I do think that when you lean forward, you are also going to lean back as you pull a down bow. So as long as it's not a frozen hand shape that has a locked knuckle, I think it's okay. Everyone's bow hand is a little different. There's a lot of famous photos of legendary cellists, and they're kind of in an array, and it's a close-up of all of their bow hands. It's a very famous photo array. You could probably Google like famous cellists hand shapes, and I think it's like 9 photos or 6 photos or something like that. And they're all completely different, and they're some of the greatest cellists of all time. So the bow hand is not a one-size-fits-all option, but there are definitely things to keep in mind. Mainly, you don't want anything locked and unnecessarily tense. All right, we're gonna go to Dvorak. It is time. It is time. So the B theme. Okay, so because we are and this person who asked, you bring up an excellent point that we are quoting the oboe. And also this is a very lyrical melody. So you want to be, when you're picking your fingerings for something like that, you want to think about what is going to give you the most lush sound and what is going to be very easy to use vibrato on. So for this, I think I maybe use one open string or no open strings because I want to vibrate on every single note. And so let's do a little playthrough. I might need to do some redos. So let me see really quickly if I can figure out what I do. So I start in 4th position, so I can vibrate right away. If it's an A, that's not very, it's kind of strident. It's a little nasally. The open A string's a little nasally. Now for those of you who don't know the Dvorak Cello Concerto, you should if you love cello. It's one of the most famous cello concertos of all time. It's one of the pieces everyone hopes to perform someday. It's a very well-known piece. So this section that this doll is asking about on Instagram and later YouTube, I saw your Dvorak YouTube question. So it has this big fanfare type opening, very grand, very regal. And then we have some busy virtuosic fast, where we get some of the theme, the primary theme, but in between, there's a lot of crazy fast cello notes. And then everything starts to wind down before we get to the middle. Everything kind of gets quieter, the rhythms aren't as crazy, and there's this long note and the cello just comes in and so you have to think about the context, right? If everything's coming down and getting soft, I'm not gonna go. If it was the opening where that big regal sound, that's more of a fanfare, I might use the open string. So I really try to cover my A string by playing it on the D string. So I start, I'm gonna try to talk and play, and let's hope that works. So 4th position, then I go to 1st. So 1st, 3rd, here's a little trick, little sneaky magician trick. I have to shift because we have a lower note coming. So I use the harmonic to cover my shift. I'm going to try to not talk over it. Because I'm letting go with the harmonic and it's still ringing, it kind of sounds like I'm still playing it. Watch. You hear that it's not da, ya, it's ba, ya. It takes a second. So you can hide a shift by, instead of just letting your finger off for the shift really fast, play the harmonic at the last millisecond and it's gonna ring and cover your shift. That's a little sleight of hand trick in cello land. And actually, I used to do this, but I don't know if I like it anymore because that's vibrating on fourth isn't great. So maybe I would do something like, maybe I'll do a 3-3 slide. Maybe it's a little too juicy. I don't know. But you have that option to go here. Now we have another harmonic note. You can approach a harmonic note and then land on it immediately. If you get nervous, it is a little bit awkward because you have the shoulder. So I hit it, but it happens so quickly. You don't want the audience to hear that, so I did the harmonic trick, and hopefully you didn't really hear it. It's very quick. So you can use harmonics to kind of hide shifts, either coming away or going to. So then, and I end in third position. That one I don't mind as much because it's only a quarter note. I mean, you should be able to vibrate on every single finger, of course. But if you are able to do, if you don't have to vibrate on the fourth finger, it's the tiniest finger. It is not going to be as lush as something like 3 or 2. So play around. Honestly, if I want it clean, so you could go there to 1. So this is kind of the third bar of the oboe theme. You can play around and see what you like. I hope that helps. It's a beautiful melody. So let me kind of play the whole thing really quick. And then we had a question about chromatics, I think, at the end from what I saw on YouTube. I think I know what part you're talking about, and you're really making me work today, but I will do it. Because Chelly and I adore you all, so I will definitely do it. Let me just check something. Oh, hello everyone. Hello. Sorry, I have been, follow-up question. Musical reason for your using of portato in the slurred quarter notes. You know, it's not to hide shifts. I mean, sorry, quavers. I think quavers are quarter notes. I should know that. I wish we kept that in American, like, classical music teaching. It sounds fancy. And I'm blanking. I think you mean, because there aren't a lot of slurred quarter notes, but there are eighth notes. Excuse me. Maybe you mean eighth notes? when I learned this. I think, yeah, that third bar, I'm still, or sorry, it's the third going into the fourth bar. I would probably experiment with that. See what's most comfortable for you. Eighth notes. Okay. No, I think it's great. I think it's great. Yeah, don't worry about that. You are golden. Eighth notes. You know, the reason I might do some portato, you should use it sparingly, so maybe I'm just using too much of it. I think the reason I'm instinctively doing it is because the D string is a little bit of a weaker string, and I want to give it a little extra oomph, so it's, listen to me in my technical terms, a little extra oomph compared to the A string notes. Sorry, it's gonna be third finger. I made a mistake. I don't know if you guys heard. Save here. You want to lean into that E sharp. E sharp. It's tasty. Dvorak's giving you a chromatic tension. You know, a normal average composer could go on one. But it's not as juicy. They really twist the tension in there. So save on the E, spend on the E sharp. That's the exciting note. Totally random, but this is why we practice. See, I got a choreograph, so I would do that again. See, I hate that fourth finger. I gotta make a decision. But now that's juicy. I don't want it that juicy, so I gotta hide it. But I gotta connect. I gotta loosen up here. Sorry, you're getting like a practice demo, but this is really how in the nitty-gritty you have to be to choreograph and to plan what you want to do with your bow, because by the time you get to the concert, it should be automatic. So the practice room is where you really need to sit down and plan this out, strategize, make a strategy. So my strategy, I want to really get that E sharp, F sharp connection smoothly. So I'm going to isolate, and I'm going to release a little bit with the bow hand at the last minute. So it's my weight. I'm taking my weight out at the last millisecond. Okay, there we go. That's better. Now I'm going to go back a couple, like a bar and a half or 2 bars. So, and that's better. But I still feel like I'm really planning and focusing, and I would integrate it, play it a few more times. But you see, this is why it's very easy to like work on a section for like an hour, because there's just a lot to think about, a lot to plan. And that was a little bit of me kind of showing you like how intense it is to work on these work on these passages that are so well known and very exposed, and it looks like half notes and eighth notes and quarter notes. It doesn't look that hard, but to really capture a melody like that and to make it sing with no awkwardness, no unnecessary gaps, phrasing exactly as you intend to. Damn! I should really play this piece again. What do you dolls think? Do you think I should bring back some Dvorak in our lives amongst all the other stuff I do? Why not? Let's just throw Dvorak back in. Why not? Actually, it would probably be a really good thing to keep me sharp. That's really good. Really awesome piece. Okay. We're going to move on. Yes, tasty. There was a question. I think it was you too. Wait, come on. Okay. Stuff is like, I'm clicking and I don't mean to highlight stuff. How do you approach the chromatic octaves at the end of the development in the first movement? Let's look. I think I know what you mean. Wait, the end of the development? Yes, okay. Okay, yes, the end of the development. Yes. End of the development. No! This is what you mean. Okay, so there's... Okay. Yes. So, make up a bunch of exercises. I'm going to show you how I would start doing that. So there's a part where you go from this C to this B, and it's all chromatic. Chicka, 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 chicka. So I would do kind of a yum ba dum ba dum ba dum, where you repeat the octave. So not good. So take notes. So C to C sharp is one of mine. Exercise. You could also do kind of dotted 8th, 16th. Etc. And then flip it. 16th dotted 8th. Sorry, well, that one had a repetition. Without a repetition. Etc., etc. And then, of course, do one, take a break. Do one about 5 minutes later, take a break, do another one. If you just keep doing this for like 15, 20 minutes, you're going to really cramp your hand. I would say when I was in conservatory land practicing like 5 hours a day, I could maybe do 15, 20 minutes of thumb work, but I probably shouldn't have, because it's a lot of weight on your thumb, on a very short finger. It's a lot of weight. So spread it out. Another thing you can do, this is a fun one. Do the fingering that's there slowly, but only play one voice at a time. Because you'll hear, ooh, it's going a little sour. So I'm going to do the D string. And you check part of the way far. So my D string note has been a little flat both times, so I gotta scoot it up more. But not scoot up the A string. Close, close. Okay, so my D string note tends to be flat, so I would keep trying to scooch it up a little bit more. And then when you get to, you've done all of those for maybe half a week to a week, then you start chaining some of them together. So we have a 6-tuplet, a 6-tuplet, a 7-tuplet. What that basically means is a group of 6, a group of 6, a group of 7. So you could try group of 6, group of 6, group of 7. You could do 3, 3, 3, 3, 4, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 4. There's a lot of different combos. That last one. Oh wait, I'm a little off. Oh, this is the 7-tuplet, that's why. Okay. I gotta check. I'm looking at the sheet music. Yeah, okay. Thanks for the tips. Oh, that's a good idea. The A major concerto. Yeah, that one's not played a lot, the Dvorak A major. He also has a beautiful piece for cello and orchestra. I think it's called Silent Woods. Silent Wood. It's beautiful. I played in the orchestra part for it. The soloist was amazing. A good friend of mine at the time in Boston, fantastic cellist. And she played the solo part, so that was amazing. Oh yeah, Dvorak piece sounds cool. I'm still in Suzuki land trying to get my sound better and technical chops. It's hard. Oh yeah, it's hard. But you have to understand, yes, yeah. So on YouTube, they're talking about the original manuscript, and there's actually a lot of discrepancies between the original manuscript and the part that is commonly printed, the editions that are commonly printed. I mean, the idea, so Dvorak just puts all of those groups together into a slew of 19 notes, not 6, 6, 7. I mean, that kind of grouping just tells you it's all overarching, one idea. And the thing that's hard is a lot of cellists will play it like, they'll just play a glissando up, and you should really, you should really do some scooches. And think of it as coming, I think of my wrist as going up, and having a floppy arm and floppy fingers. Like little, I'm exaggerating of course, but little scooches with the wrist leading. And the elbow and the forearm, because it's very easy to get locked if you're nervous. What you could do as a glissando as a practice. Oh gosh, here we go. Whoa. Little high. To kind of feel the path smooth, and then gradual light scoots. Think of them as scoots. I keep going You shouldn't really think of them as like rigid gears going, but it's kind of like these scoots. It should feel fluid, because if you lock up while going fast, it ain't gonna happen. So I really hope that helps. It's a really cool effect. Excuse me. If you can really get it right, it's really really effective. Cool. Wow, you guys are bringing it today. Wow, these questions, so good. Okay, going back to some things about concerts from Instagram. Speaking of concerts, what advice do you have as a cellist for following a conductor in his or her orchestra better rhythmic liberty-wise? That's a very good question. If I'm interpreting it correctly, hold on. I want to make sure I'm caught up on the chat here. How we doing? How are you doing? How are you doing? Doing good. I hope you're all doing fantastically. Okay, cool. So this is a two-part question, kind of going back to some of the stuff we talked about earlier. Following a conductor, I believe what this person is asking, a very awesome doll I see on many live streams. Their contributions are always appreciated, so thank you very much. I believe that you have to understand the conductor does have a big say in the musical interpretation. Because if you think about it, orchestras, they're like a 50 to 100 piece group. Smaller if it's like a chamber orchestra, but they're pretty large, and you kind of need a leader because you can wind up with 100 different opinions. And it takes a lot of work to be a conductor and to work your way up through prestigious orchestras. And a lot of them, I've worked with countless conductors, and a lot of the best ones I have worked with are very historically savvy with the practice of the time. Kind of, this is how Mozart was played back in Mozart's time. Let's find a way to integrate that into how we play. They are very well researched, tons of experience, countless years of experience, and they love to work with people. They're very personable and fun to work with. So, that all being said, I do not mind following a conductor. Even if they make a choice that maybe I wouldn't choose, you know, they have their interpretation and they have their reason for it. So, part of that is, as a orchestra player, it's your job to be a team player. Nobody likes an orchestra player that plays like a soloist. Do not be that person. Please don't be that person. Please don't be that person. You want to be a team player. And so the second right-hand individual to a conductor is the concert master, concert mistress, concert master. There's different terms used. The concert master. So usually, in addition to having the conductor, in my point of view, if there's a big major string moment, I also watch the concert master. And I also watch the principal cellist. If you happen to be principal, you got to be on the same page with the front desk. So principal and assistant viola, second violin, first violin, you all are kind of captains of the string ship, and you interpret. It's kind of a cool effect. If you have a very effective section leader, it's kind of like a really quick shock wave or a wave, and I called it the ship. Look at me and my analogies, nailing it. Sometimes my analogies don't hit, but I think this one does, where if the conductor gives a message, the section leader interprets it, and it should quickly flow through the section. Whereas if the conductor wants to take time, I would I also, whenever I have the privilege of being principal, I've been principal, you know, a few, handful of times. I use my body a lot. So if it's like you can use your upper torso and your head. I mean, you don't want to be like this, but sometimes I'll go, if it's maybe 1, 2, 3. Wait, that wasn't good. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we have to move on an eighth note, or 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. I kind of use my body. I mean, even if I'm not principal, I subtly use my body to feel kind of we're moving here. Because you also don't want to look like you're trying to lead people. Again, you have to be a team player. So I follow the principals, the concert master, and the conductor. And often, if you look closely, a conductor, when you get to rehearse, a conductor will often tell you about slowdowns, rubatos, and they will do often what's called a subdivision, where it's like 1, 2, 3, and 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 4, and 1. So there are these little tricks and signals that orchestra players are very familiar with. And those are often gone over with during rehearsal. Even if you don't have a lot of rehearsal time, it is very standard for a conductor to use subdivisions in slowdowns, or even speeding up. Like if there's a tempo change, if there's like a silent thing, like a silent moment, and then you gotta come in really fast, they'll usually go, ba, like breath, go, 4, 1. So you get like a little prep of one beat. There's all sorts of tricks, and you will learn them too by playing in orchestras and experiencing them. Second question, to what extent do you believe in softening the hand, wrist, and right side before a bow change? I 1,000% believe it. Softening, yes. Softening, but not, you do have to keep your bow hand shape. So you do have to keep your form. I kind of imagine my fingers, how I interpret it, my fingers soften, they go forward, and then I catch the bow and I pull it back. So I'm trying to do it in slow motion. It's really hard to... So I kind of do a little prep. I'm still doing an up bow, but my hand moved into down bow position, and then I could pull the down bow. The inverse reigns true for the up bow. So... And likewise, my hand kind of pulls, push. So I lift a little bit before my up bows for the push. So that's kind of how I view things. And I hope that helps. But in order to effectively move, you do need to soften, as you mentioned, soften the hand, but your weight has to be heavy in the strings still. Because that is what I was running into at some of the Dvorak was I was trying to relax, but then my weight would come out of the string a millisecond, like a little bit, and then my sound would lighten up a little bit as a result. So you're always heavy with your arm and your elbow, your shoulders heavy, deep in the string, and it's a really weird concept to imagine yourself being heavy, but supple and flexible with the fingers. And I can't tell you how many open string exercises I've done to do that and to accomplish that. And just a lot of experimenting, a lot of practicing. Lyrical sections like that oboe melody from the Dvorak is very, very helpful for practicing these things, because yes, you can do open strings and scale work, but you also need to practice it with that kind of technical finesse and attention to detail in your repertoire, because that's the end goal, of course. We want to do that fluidly in our repertoire. So that's an excellent question. Absolutely, I believe that the fingers relax. I guess I never thought about the right side of the hand, but I guess it does. And what I imagine, I don't know if this helps visualization, it's very helpful for me, where that moment where I'm changing bows, I've leaned into the string with my weight, and I imagine I'm making a groove, like in soil, where like my string, I'm making a groove into the string or the soil. And I need to stay in that groove as I change bow directions. So I really need to stay with my heaviness, with my weight. I gotta live in that groove. If I come out of the groove, it's not gonna happen. So I just kind of imagine my bow's been etched into some sand, like wet sand, where you get a big groove in there. And even though I change direction, I stay in that deep feeling. Don't know if that helps you. It all depends on how you learn and whatever beautiful brain you have. Some people work well with visualizations. Some people don't, and that's okay. I'm kind of a combination. I'm kind of a technique nut. I love nerding out about techniques, but I also use a lot of imagery when I describe how I practice, and music in general evokes so much imagery for me. But yes, so I think about like etching a groove and staying in that deep place. That was a big breakthrough for me in terms of smoothing out my bow changes. Do we have any more questions? I think we have time for one more question. I'm going to check on the chats. Oh, someone wrote, keep up the work, love the content. You're so sweet. Greetings from New York City. Oh my goodness, I was there right before the pandemic. Sad. That's where I lived before the pandemic. I do, my memories in New York City, very fond of New York City. I would love to go back and perform sometime. I would love to be active on both coasts someday. I think that would be so cool. Love New York City. So fun. So we got a couple more questions. I'm going to tackle one of these. How can I train the speed of my ears and eyes for sight reading purposes? Hello, that cello guy. My heart goes pitter-patter whenever I see that cello guy. If you guys don't know that cello guy, you need to. Incredible inspiration, incredible musician, incredible human. So why wouldn't you know about that cello guy? Hello. Amazing. And hopping on the stream to say hi. What an awesome thing to do. Thank you so much. Final question is on sight reading. One thing you can try to do is practice reading one measure ahead, which is really, it sounds tricky because it is a little bit, but what you can do is you can start by looking at the bar you want to play plus one note, even just one note, then a bar plus a bar and a half, 2 bars. So you can gradually widen your perception on how you sight read music. Another way to become a good sight reader, and I work on this a lot with my students who are note reading, is to realize the differences between a skip and a step on the page. So when you see a line note, meaning you have your staff and you have a note head that's right on the line, a line note to a line note, or a space note to a space note, that is a skip. So you skip a finger. Often arpeggios are correlated to skips. Or kind of skipping a finger. A step is like your scale. One finger at a time. All the notes are next to each other on the staff. Believe it or not, I find that having students look at notes that way is very effective in their reading ability and their sight reading ability. Now, granted, the harder the music, it's not all going to be nice and neat steps and skips, but the better you get at that, you will be able to start identifying bigger jumps on the page easier. So saying, oh wait, that's my open A string. I also advise people to be familiar, where are your open strings on the staff? And here are a couple hints. Your A string is the top line. Your top string, the top line of the staff. I'm doing this to represent a note head, but it looks like I'm cheering someone on. Either way works, does not matter. The top note of the top line of the staff, your top string. The D string. Someone else bought a badge. Devin. Look at you buying a badge. I know Devin. He's a very good friend of mine. Thank you, Devin. Thank you so much. The D string is the middle. The G string is your bottom. And the C string is the only one that's below the staff, is your C string. So if you have that roadmap as a fundamental, where your open strings are on the staff, and you can see a skip and get comfortable with skipping a finger versus steps. My students and I, we go through music all the time and we look for patterns. Meaning, does this look like a mini scale? Is this part repeating from before? Find patterns in your music. I could do a whole live stream on finding patterns in music because it's something I do all the time. And it's really fun to do. So looking for things that repeat. So if you're working out of a method book, pick a piece you don't know yet and practice analyzing it. So look for repetition, look for mini scales, just look for things. There's a thing called a sequence in music that's used all the time. So it's kind of where the notes are going in the same direction and have the same rhythm. So it's kind of, the sequence I made up was ba 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 ba, da ha 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 chord, or da ha 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 chord, or it could even be so the sequences can be very close together. If you can find sequences, damn, you're very far ahead. That's used so much in classical music. So patterns, repetition, mini scales, sequences. A lot of tools, and if you can see these patterns versus reading one individual note at a time, that's really going to help you. My dolls, thank you so much for a fabulous live stream. You all, I love the questions you bring every single month. So does Chelly, because he gets to sing and serenade you all, and that's his favorite thing to do, as is one of mine. So thank you all so much. Special shout out to Bob and Devin for buying badges on the Instagram live stream. Thank you so much. That support is amazing, and it goes right back into Cello Doll, making content, buying gear and equipment. If you want more ways to support Cello Doll, I do accept one-time donations on Venmo and PayPal. And that information is on YouTube. It'll be in the description. On Instagram, it's in my bio. So you can donate. You can also join Patreon. Current patrons, you got an exclusive VIP video last night. Patreon, just to give you a quick chat about it, if you don't know, you guys on Patreon, as a thank you for your support, you get monthly content, either early or that is never going to be on socials. So you get exclusive content, you get, do you intend to do a live stream on sight reading next time? That could be a cool idea, themed live streams. Let me know what you dolls think of that. We could do some themed live streams. That could be very helpful. If it helps you all, I would love to do it. But final note, sorry, about Patreon. You guys can get discounted cello lessons. Didn't know if you knew that. There's a package for discounted cello lessons with myself and Shelly, as well as MP3 downloads and exclusive video content. Thank you all so much for the kind words in the chat. I am so glad you enjoyed this live stream, and we'll see you next month in May. In April. Where are we? What time is it? I don't know. In April, at the end of April. All right, my dolls, happy practicing as always, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.